Who's ready for story time? All right, what time do we have? Noon. And what season? Ooh, blackberry winter. What genre? Romance? Oh no. All right, what's our conflict? Competing for glory. Okay. All right, in our setting, a hive. I think I'm going to lean very heavily into the D&D world for this one. I try to keep it really vague so that people can use these story starters in multiple different worlds, but let's do fantasy romance today because I think that's a good starting place. Hive. Okay. It's springtime in the Feywild. Here, spring truly springs up. The winter snow melts away. Flowers burst into bloom at an alarming rate. There are a few days, though, after the warming of the earth begins, when the brambleberries bloom, when there are a few days of strange magic in the air, days of damp chills and sharp breezes. The berries know not to bloom before blackberry winter, before the laird of fairy rejects their most recent batch of suitors to their hand. You know that their lairdship rejects every suitor. Basically tradition at this point, as predictable as the seasons. You've never been very predictable. Now, standing shoulder to shoulder with a dozen other competitors, you gaze up at the balcony. High above the arena, many of those who wait with you are shifting on their feet, slanting their eyes sideways, glancing at their competition, sizing each other up. You, though, you don't have eyes for anyone of the royal family up on high. The king and queen of fairy, as old as springtime itself, each stand with a hand on the shoulders of their only offspring, Bramble, the laird of fairy, heir to the entire Feywild. Their lairdship stands as unmoving as stone, all sharp edges and bright eyes. Welcome, competitors, they say, to my hive. Cheering roar erupts around the edges of the arena where folk from all corners of the world have gathered to watch the contest. None of your fellow competitors have any delusions regarding their chances with Laird Bramble. Through an untellable count of years in fairy, the fight for the hand of the hive has become not much more than pure spectacle. It has become a demonstration of martial and athletic prowess, a sort of audition for heroes. Many of those who do well in the competition end up invited to serve powerful patrons in the wider world. You aren't interested in any of that. In fact, you aren't a fighter at all. You just signed up to compete. Turns out that a little trickery can go a long way in the court of fairy. A greased palm here, a misdelivered letter there, and now here you stand amongst the fierce fighters and daring athletes. The hive arena is penned in by walls built in bee fashion, full of hexagonal cells, each holding a different weapon, a different tool, a different resource. Beyond these walls, the audience members recline in stacked seats, cushioned and luxurious, awaiting the spectacle. A little thrill of anxiety races its way up your spine. You feel your pores open under even the cool noonday sunlight in the middle of a chill blackberry winter. Laird Bramble stands over their hive of competitors, unruffled by the breezes, a cold statue without a spark of warmth about them, until their distant, imperious gaze lands on you. In a springtime of adoration blooms in your chest, your nerves still jangling and zinging through you, now spreading from the small of your back in reaching vines of want. You remember bright eyes, warm with laughter under spring moonlight. Long ago for you, but not long at all for Laird Bramble. You remember stumbling upon them as they hid from the hangers-on that always seemed to infest the royal grounds in the days before and after the competition of the Hive. You remember their cool skin warming under yours as your hands came together. You remember the interruption of their father striding through the trees and the feeling of their hands slipping out of yours. You remember how hard you tried to find that particular glade again, but fairy magic is a fickle thing, so you arranged the matter yourself. And here you stand. And now Laird Bramble stands over their hive of competitors and spectators, shocked now from stillness into motion at the sight of you. They look around wildly, their knuckles bleached white on the balcony's railing. Their father, the king of fairies, speaks an urgent word into their ear, at which Lord Bramble again freezes, and again they speak, although a bit more shakily. Again, welcome, champions and cheerers, to my hive, for mine it is. And they step forward, leaning more heavily on the reining. I designed it, I supplied it, and I have cause each year to people it with fighters for my hand. At this, they suddenly leap from the balcony and soar down on wings of light to land next to the line of competitors, landing indeed more heavily than one might expect. I shall have no more champions, they say, breathless, eyes warm and bright and staring directly at you. If you seek my hand, you must win it of me yourself in front of all these assembled. Begin. The stands erupt around you, and the king and queen seem paralyzed with dismay. The warriors around you scatter to the walls of the hive without even a bow of acknowledgement, racing for weapons and potions and gear. But what do you do? What story will you tell from here?